Today we are paying homage to Mr. Tyler Wall. So everyone has pretty much heard the news now, by the time this is being recorded. But 18th of March, Tuesday afternoon, sadly, Tyler passed away. One of our dear coaches who's been with the company for a couple of years, but we've known him for a lot longer. So we really just wanted to talk about our experiences with him, some of the stories that we've got of him, but also just what he kind of taught us as coaches and as being one of his friends. Just some of the values that I think he brought. He had such a huge impact on everyone at Supra, in the internal team, but also with his clients. So it'd be cool just to kind of share some of the takeaways that we got from him, from our time spent with him. So I met Tyler back in, I think it was like end of 2017 when I started working with. So we were both clients of Trevor Cashy at the time, before we had started working for him.
Both clients.
Yeah,
Nice.
so we were both. Funny enough, we were both clients, and we both found him the same way. So we found him through the same blog online, and reached out to him and got coaching from him, literally like within like a week of each other. And we'd never spoken to each other. And then when Trevor bought out his colleagues from the company that they were all running and started Trevor Cashy Nutrition, he needed coaches, and he asked me and Tyler. And so one of the first things that he did was he flew me out to Ohio to his house for like 3 weeks, and Tyler come out for I think 1 or 2 of those weeks. And so we basically lived together the first time we met for like 2 weeks. And that, like, literally even just from that trip, we were just like just crying with laughter just the whole time, like got along really, really well. And then, we worked with TKN up until end of 2020, because then I came on board with Supra 2021. Then shortly after that, Tyler left TKN and wanted to kind of do his own thing. He's always been a bit of a traveler, a wanderer, and wanted to kind of just explore other things and kind of have a crack at kind of running his own coaching thing. And we kept in touch throughout. We would talk almost every day, for the past 7-8 years. And then I think it was probably middle of last year, maybe early last year, or even prior to that. And it was longer than that. It was like 18 months. I reached out to him again and I said, look, Superhuman is growing like crazy. We need awesome coaches. You are one of those coaches. Please come on board. And he was like, you know what, I'm in. And, came on board, had an immediate impact, with the coaches and with the clients. But he was just a good dude. Yeah. Like just down to his core.
Yeah.
He's just a good guy.
I think I met him a year after you, didn't I?
Yeah, because you came on board with TKN.
Yeah. I always remember that he was so good at like connecting with people and building a rapport. Like I always tell this story. He come to my house for one of my parties.
Your 30th birthday.
My 30th birthday.
So that's the first time that I met him.
He came to the UK for 2 weeks because it was my 30th was a week before yours.
Yeah.
And so my partner at the time had planned a surprise party, and so I picked Tyler up at the airport, drove back to the house, and everyone was there. Yeah. So like had a party. So that's where he met. He had already met you.
Yeah.
But obviously you were there.
And it was my birthday the week after. So come down to my birthday.
So then we all come down for yours. Yeah.
So he comes down into my house. The first time he's met my mum, within like 20 minutes, my mum was saying, "Oh, I wish Tyler was my son." It's like, "Oh, cheers, mum." But again, it's just a testament to like how good he is at like communicating.
He's just so friendly.
Like he was just such a good listener.
He's a very likable character.
Yeah, very likable.
That's the first thing. Because again, like, I knew when I went to your birthday, I knew you, but I didn't know Tyler. It was just Ben's mate who turned up, and he just had this like you got this massive grin, isn't he? Yeah. Massive grin, like this big hair, and obviously the American accent's different as well. And he always like he's a very eye catching person. There's definitely a bit of an energy that comes from him. Because even my missus, who was at the at your birthday as well. Like she didn't know many people there at all, but he always sticks out, probably because he was the American one as well, the only one with the American accent. But yeah, he's definitely got an energy about him that is different.
I tell you, one of my fondest memories of him. So, and I didn't expect this, is when we was in Texas and we was all like in a bar, like after like we did some work and stuff. And obviously I didn't know Tyler could dance at the time. And no joke, the music come on, he undoes his shirt and what's the dance called?
Well, so we call it like a cholo dance.
Yeah.
So it's like, like the Mexican kind of gangsters where they have their top button done up and the rest undone and with like a white t-shirt underneath. He undid all of his buttons by the top and he started dancing like a Mexican cholo.
I am not joking.
Everyone in the bar was just dying, laughing. Just
people were turning around. They could see everyone turning around. They're like, what the heck's going on this? And everyone turned around, just fixated on him.
God.
And he was just going for gold in the middle of the dance floor.
I had like tears in my eyes. It was so... And he was like laughing as he was dancing.
And he was
and
actually...
you got that big smile, big teeth, big eyes.
It was actually really good. It was actually really good as well.
It was so funny.
So it ended up him just being on the dance floor on his own, doing this dance, and everyone in the bar just watching him. And he just kept going. Oh,
he used to just little things that he would do, like anytime he was eating like something tasty, I'd be like, oh, what you got? And he's like, you wouldn't like it. He's like, no. And he'd like turn away and he'd go, no, it's not for you. Yeah. And then if I was ever like, anytime that we had like stayed together, if we were like traveling or whatever, I would knock on his door and like come in, and he would always pretend like he was jacking off. And so I would open the door and he'd go, oh, like every time. And it was just like a standard thing from then on. It's like you open the door, it's like, oh God, don't look, don't come in. Just every time.
That's him. He's definitely like almost like a class clown. Like all my interactions with him were always funny. Like he's always joking. He's always messing around. Even like subtle lines. I remember when we went to the States for the event last June. And I actually remember sat there and I remember watching him for like 15 minutes straight. Just like following him, just watching him like walk round, just like interact with people. And I'm looking at him like, you're bonkers. Like you are a nuts character, just the way
little things that we went for when we were in Austin, Texas, we went for sushi and like, we don't have great sushi in the UK. And so we're going and he was like, what kind of rolls do you like? And I'm like, I don't know the fucking name of the rolls. And I was like, what is it? Like a California roll?
Sausage roll?
Yeah, kind of Greg sausage roll. And I said, oh, like a California roll? And he's like, what, the most like plain roll ever? And then he turns around and looks at the waitress and he's like, 3 of your finest California rolls, please. And I was just like, for fuck's sake. And then since then it's like if I mention sushi, he's like, yeah, get Ben the California rolls, yeah. Just rice.
There's no like off button. Like once he's on, he's just constantly chirping, isn't he?
Yeah. But he was interesting because like I'd say all 3 of us are quite we're very like logical, like, and almost like, I don't really like saying like stoic, but like more on that side. And he had this kind of like, he was very in the middle, because there's a lot of people where they're like, off the deep end of like, oh, like I'm a Libra, that's just who I am. And I'm like, like can't stand it. Whereas he could speak to people like that and also have a very logical side as well. Yeah. And not many people can, you're typically either on one side of the fence or you're away with the fucking fairies. Yeah. And he was a bit of both where like at some points he was on that side, but then he could also, be rational, and stuff and very logical on the other side, which
that's why he's
really
such a good coach, because he could relate to a lot of people. Yeah. And connect with a lot of people regardless of what they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very, there were traits to him that he'd like to talk about his emotions a fair whack, or like to go down the emotional trail a fair whack. Whereas again, when you're more, as you said, like you're more logical, you almost don't think about emotions very much. You just think about the logic, and it's like, well, this is the outcome, and that's that. Whereas he was a lot more in tune with that side of things. And again, like as you said, we are more like the logic side, but that's when. When I got the news that he did pass, and he's obviously on my mind for several days, I'm thinking like, if there's any flaws that I do have, and there's loads, it's like, but what can I take from him? And like, that is one of them. Like you said it in your post on Instagram, and it hit me straight away, is when he would hug you, he would legitimately hug you. Yeah. And like my missus, like sometimes I'll give my missus a hug and she'll be like, hug me properly. Yeah. Like you just like,
it's like embrace me.
Yeah. You're just like draping over me like a wet jumper. Like, ugh. Yeah. But then when he hugged me, like he grabbed me, and I was like, I was like, I remember thinking at the time, I was like, fair play. He really gave that some oomph, that hug.
Slap
Like, he
your
really,
ass as well.
Yeah. He turned me around.
Yeah.
But no,
Yeah.
and I was like, I remember when he left, because he went off to do the other job, and he was leaving the event. And I remember just sat there as he left. I think, what a nice bloke. What just a genuinely, there's never this thing where like some people you get on with, but it's like, I feel like we just, there's a bit of judgment going there. We're obviously just different people. And me and Tyler, I would say we are different people. I wouldn't say me and him have got loads in common.
Yeah.
But there's something about him that he's got this warmth that you just like, isn't it?
He was very he's very sentimental. And so because at the last event, it was my birthday on day 2 of the event, and he knocked on my room and he had a gift bag and there was like a bunch of random cigars in there, and he's like, I spoke to the guy and he's like, you put all the fucking best ones in there. And then there was a card at the bottom, and it wasn't just happy birthday, bud. It was a like essay in the card of like, thank you so much for like being a part of my life. Like, I appreciate you, like all of this stuff. And it's like, I was almost tearing up as I was reading it.
Yeah.
Like, and obviously this is last year, and it was like just such a nice thing. And like, even, 20 and like mid 2022 was when I broke off my engagement, and, probably for like a year and a half, I was a bit of a mess. And he would always like ring me, check on me. If I needed to talk about something, he was there, with like massive time difference and stuff as well. He was always available. And, and like one saying, because I was doing shit which like I shouldn't have been doing. And he said to me, he's like, you've jumped into a snake pit expecting to not get bitten by a snake. And I was like, you're right. And he goes, and guess what, Ben? You've been bit. And I was like, you're right, Tyler, I have. And I was like, lesson learned. But I always remember that quote. And so it's like, don't jump into a snake pit and expect to not be bit.
Yeah.
And he goes, you're just like everyone else, Ben. He's like, they like biting. And it's like, they will bite.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you're fucking right. But he would always like, because I would say during that time, I was pretty depressed. And he was so good at just kind of like bringing me back up. And like, I'm not very good at like singing my own praises. Like, it's like I'll always kind of like belittle kind of like anything I've accomplished. It's like, yeah, but like, there's more to do. Like, there's so much to like areas that I need to work on and stuff. And he would always like bring back up the things that I had done. And I was like, oh, like that does make me feel quite good.
Yeah.
But the amazing thing about him is that he did it with everyone.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't just something that he did because we were close friends. He did it to fucking strangers. Like, whether it was like a t-shirt that he really liked, or like something that they did, like in passing, he would compliment someone and make them feel good, in their day. Which
He used to do that with all the new coaches, didn't he? He used to like send them cards and stuff. Tell you another thing I used to love about him. He was almost like unprofessional but professional at the same time. Like, he would come on the coach office hours, like lean back, arm behind his head, and all of a sudden you just spit gold out, and like you just weren't expecting it. So he'd come in, vest on, like this, laid back. He's like, oh, hang on, hand up, and he speaks, and he's like, oh my god, who is this guy? Like, absolute gold.
I tell you what he is. He's a very philosophical bloke. He likes to really think deeply about things. And I always remember when he'd start a topic, he'd go off, and then he'd go deeper level, then he'd go somewhere else, then he'd go somewhere else, and I'm like, wait, where's he going with this? And then he's like, and then he'll come right back to the start and go, and that's that. And I'm like, why have you gone such this long route? But he's such the way he likes to think about things, he thinks about it on a much deeper level and an emotional level than someone like us would. And
we don't have access to those levels.
No. Again, hungry, horny amount.
So he had his celebration of life was this Sunday just gone, and we couldn't make it out for it. And but what was really cool is a couple of his clients did.
Wow.
And even Jamie Shire. I know we've spoken about Jamie on a previous podcast, fucking legend. And he went because it was close to where he stays in Connecticut. And he said he went, and he said it was a like huge turnout. He said the amount of just like love and celebration in the room was just crazy. And you know, and Tyler wasn't Jamie's direct coach, but just from listening to him on the coach office hours, you know, on the calls, meeting him at the event, you know, even then he had an impact, you know, and Jamie sent me a really, really sweet message, you know, after, you know, telling me about it, which was so nice of him. And it was, I think like Tyler just had that effect on everyone.
Yeah.
And it's really sad because it's like, you know, you know, it's been over 2 weeks now, you know, at the time of this recording. And like we were just saying, it's like, you know, sadly the world doesn't stop and, you know, you continue on. And the only thing that's left is that you just really miss him. Like you just, and I think it's going to be a weird year, you know, because he was the MC, you know, with you at the last event. And it's going to be a bit kind of like, he's not here for this one.
Yeah.
And it's like those kind of moments, you're just like, that fucking sucks.
Yeah.
It's almost like it doesn't hit home at first, does it? And then when it's those types of things, you go, yeah. It's all like reminds you about the actual position we're in. You know, it's strange when you said about, you know, he used to send you a card and things. And again, that was from the event as well. Like I would classify you as one of my good friends. Like you're one of the best men at my wedding. Like you're quite high up the pecking order in terms of friends. Yet I don't often think about that stuff. If I know it's your birthday, I won't get you a card. I won't. And then when I hear stuff like I remember at the event, he went, he did mention your birthday. He went, I've got him something, I think he said, or because it was your birthday on the pool party, but he had to leave and he wanted to give it to you before you went. And he was explaining that to me. And I was like, fucking hell, like, hang on a minute. What does that say? Like, is it because I'm not being a great friend? But that's the type of person he is. Like he really, and he wanted to give it to you in person. And he was concerned about not being there for your birthday because he had to go away and do this thing.
Yeah.
And you could see on him that it was stressing him out somewhat.
And he literally, he came up to my room and was like, you know, I've been offered this thing, but if I do go, I need to go now. Like, and I won't be here tomorrow. You know, I'll miss this part of the event.
And you could see how concerned he was about that.
And he literally sat there and he was like, "What should I do?" Because I don't know if I should take it and stuff. And like, you know, we sat down and spoke about it, looked at the pros and cons, and I was like, "I think you need to go." And it was like, and then, you know, gave me one of his classic hugs, and then, you know, and then went. But it was like, yeah, he was so thoughtful, and he was very
caring. He's very caring.
Yeah.
He does care a lot about people.
He was very impulsive on, like, if someone was on his mind, he would message them in that moment. You know, if he was like, just that random person, I wonder how they're doing. He's like, I'll message them, and he would, like, you know, because a lot of us do that, and we're like, I'll message them later. But he would just be like, voice message, hey, been thinking about you. You know, I know last time we spoke, you know, you were talking about these things and struggling with this. How's that going? Like, and he would genuinely be curious.
Yeah. I tell you one thing, you know, like a lot of people, they'll say like, I'm a good listener or whatever it may be. Like Tyler didn't have to say that because it just came through his actions. Everyone knew like what type of person he was without him even saying it. And that's one of the things I respect about Tyler, you know, because his action like said everything that he needed to.
It's like some people say they're caring. And it's like, well, you don't really show me very much. Like you say you do. And like with him, like me and Tyler, you know, we engaged a lot over the since he was with Supra, because he ended up being obviously in my team. So me and him would have a call every week and we talk about certain things. And so it's like, it's almost like you take for granted the people who are closer to you. Like, for example, like, again, like I might end up messaging some lad who I know from back home on Instagram because I saw it was his birthday. But then, like, when it's your birthday or your birthday, I might be like, oh, well, I see them all the time type thing. It's like you can somewhat take it for granted the people who are closer to you. And then even after, like, me and Tyler have shared all those conversations and we'd spoken about all this stuff, like, I'd host one of the office hours or the power hour, and he still messaged every time, love that, mate, really, really good. Like, I thought you came across really well. And it's like, and then you hear then, and like, although that's personal to me, that was my experience. But then when, obviously, the news did come out, and the people were sharing the stories, it was like, he reached out when I first joined Supra. Like, how many times do you hear that? He was the first one to reach out. And like, we're taking on coaches a lot now. And I don't often reach out to them. And I'm like, it just made me think, like, maybe I should be better. Like, maybe I should be better than I am, because I say that I care about these things, but then it's like, well, he is showing you there that he cares every single time. And it's like, and that's where it's like, you know, with guys like that, even if they're not like you, you have nothing in common, he is a good bloke, like a flat out good bloke. And he was just, that was one of the most challenging, because like you've known him for the longest and you've known him quite long as well. He was more of a recent partner with me. And then that was the thing that was the most sort of like painful after, was like, fuck yeah, what a bloke. And like, what a nice care. Like, it's almost like they say, like, the good guys get it. And it's like literally the good guy.
Yeah.
It makes you, it does make you realize though, like, because like, we were talking about just about like legacy and stuff like that, and if it even means anything, you know, like when as time goes by. But it's so true that like the only thing that you have left is like the shared memories that you have of that person and how they made you feel. Like, and I think he genuinely made everyone feel better than before they met him.
Yeah.
Every single person.
Yeah.
So if there was, you know, if we sum this one up, because we don't want to ramble on too much, if there's one thing, you know, one trait or skill that Tyler had that you want to try and emulate more, improve yourself, what would it be?
Go on, you go.
I was going to say, expand my emotions from hungry and horny.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's being more present with the people, the close people around me, and showing them a little bit more. Even like, you know, when my missus came back from work the day and I gave her a hug, like I made sure that it was a legitimate hug. Like it wasn't just like, yeah, I got work to do. Like, let's just get the job done type thing. Because it's like, I felt like he made me feel really important, even though in the grand scheme of things, I probably wasn't one of the key, you know, features in his life, but he made me feel that way. So the people who are actually really important to you, around you, make sure that they're definitely getting that feeling.
Yep. I think he was very good at like he had such a good perspective on life in like what you should actually be concerned with or give a shit about versus not. And I think it's I tend to do quite a good job of it, but I think I can definitely improve it. Is like, you know, life stresses happen, you know, whether it's work or personal, whatever it is. And I think it's like being able to put it in perspective of like, in a day's time, this isn't going to matter. Like it's like there's no point getting worked up over this thing, because the thing that you should be concerned with is like, are you making sure that, you know, you've told your loved ones that you love them? Are you making sure that you're, you know, showing up in the best way possible every time, you know, when you're around those people? Are you being present when you are with those people? You know, and I was talking to one of our coaches, Joe Trinker, who I love equally. And, you know, I've known Joe since like 2018. And, you know, we were talking about it, and it's like, what it makes you realize, like, what do you actually value? And if I look back at like some of my funnest memories over the past couple of years, it's been hanging out with my friends, either smoking cigars, training, or eating brunch. And so it's like the, you know, cars, money, houses, like, you know, material things. It's like they're all fun, but like they pale in comparison to like, if I really look back at like the funnest times where I've genuinely been my happiest, it's been like, you know, sat in Scottsdale eating a fat burrito with you boys, like, or like, you know, when we were all staying in the same house together with the other coaches, just gut laughing, like where it's like my stomach hurts from one of them making a joke that's just like making everyone else tear up. Like that kind of stuff is like, and I think he just did such a good job of like understanding that that's the important thing. So I think just like reminding myself of that.
That's a good one.
Definitely going to try and do more of that.
Yeah, being very clear with those things that are really important, and then building your life around those. Rather than building your life around stuff that is pretty minor in the grand scheme of things.
But yeah, cool. So, you know, if you do have any great memories of Tyler, be sure to share them in the comment section. But yeah, you know, we all loved him dearly, and we're going to miss him for a long time. But, you know, we will continue to carry on his legacy. If there is such a thing as legacy, we're going to try and continue and, you know, use some of those traits and attributes that he had to try and continue to improve our, you know, ourselves as people and coaches, and provide as much value as we can. But as always, thank you for listening, and be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify, and we'll see you next time.